Just when you thought it couldn't get any more miserable. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the most miserable man on the internet, Greg Kelly, who's already so bored with his show that he's checking his watch. Now, I don't know why. Let's see, on this guy right here. Let's see. This is this whole thing, like, again, the reason, for the record, the reason why there are so many crossings at the border is because of repeat crossers. Because Title 42 immediately rejects people. They go straight back to Mexico and they try again. Then they get caught and then they try again. Then they get caught, which artificially raises the numbers, which is why the Republicans want to keep Title 42, because it keeps the numbers artificially high. You get me? All right. Clip that shit.
Neither of which would have shifted.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. We got to cut to this.
All right. As of 90 seconds ago, Title 42 is still in effect for how
What do you mean? As of 1 second ago, dumb fuck?
much longer? We don't know. This Trump-era policy.
It's not look, a Trump-era policy. He didn't write it. It existed already. It was implemented. You know what was a Trump-era policy? Maybe put some bleach in the lungs, perhaps getting the sunlight on your organs, maybe just opening people up and splaying them like a shrimp.
Is making a horrific situation at the border somewhat more manageable.
Apparently it isn't. It's still in place, and it's never been worse. Here's an idea. Maybe Title 42 is specifically the reason we have more crossings. Because, again, there are people crossing multiple fucking times. These people are on video. These folks right here, all of them caught, processed, and put back, on the Mexican side. And they're going to try again. And most of those people, according to the statistic we looked at earlier in the program, 24% of them have tried to cross the fucking Rio Grande 3+ times already. But to Greg Kelly, that one person is now 4. Because that's Republican math.
The Biden administration is intent on getting rid of Title 42. They have gone to court. They really seem intent on destroying America, don't they?
No. Then explain to me why Biden and Obama actually processed and removed more immigrants, illegal immigrants, than the two previous administrations combined. And Trump didn't even get anywhere near their fucking numbers.
And they're
largely because Title 42 saved him, so he could just boot them out and not even bother to check the box. They just call it a person and send them out.
rather proud of it and self-righteous about it.
I want to be very clear here. The fact is that the removal of Title 42 does not mean the border is open.
Right?
Anyone who suggests otherwise is simply doing the work of these smugglers who, again...
Right. Well said. It's almost as like people in the White House listen to me on occasion. Hi, guys.
Again, are spreading misinformation.
Yes. The only people who are on TV saying the border is open are Republicans. And they're saying it anywhere somebody will put a mic in their fucking face. And anybody who's overseas or down south in South America or Central America or Mexico for that matter, or in Haiti, who saw on television someone saying the border is open, they heard a Republican say it.
And which is very dangerous.
It's very dangerous to talk truthfully about the situation at the border.
No, it's not truthful. You are ringing the dinner bell. You are saying the border is open. It isn't. You are getting these people killed. By the way, this is why Mayorkas tells people from Cuba that they're going to be immediately returned. Not because the United States isn't sympathetic to people trying to leave Cuba, but because they come in boats and they tend to die in large groups when they try. And we're trying to avoid as much of that as possible and handle it diplomatically with Cuba. Whereas there is a land crossing down here in the Rio Grande, and those people are slightly safer. So it's not as big a concern.
These are people who engage in misinformation. So this afternoon,
is the border open? Greg Kelly, do me a favor. Would you go down to Central America, get a bullhorn, and say the U.S. border is wide open? Try it. Go down there. Say it. Oh, you won't? Why? Oh, because it's not true.
Afternoon, the Biden administration, they filed the paperwork formally stating that they want Title 42, yes, to go away. The government recognizes that the end of Title 42 orders will likely lead to disruption and a temporary increase in unlawful border crossings. The government in no way seeks to minimize the seriousness of that problem. Funny, she just did a moment ago. Next, please.
No, she didn't.
But the solution.
She actually made it serious. She made a serious remark about assholes like Greg Kelly saying the border is open, coaxing more people to try and cross illegally, endangering their lives, and the border agents that have to deal with it.
To that immigration problem cannot be to extend indefinitely a public health measure that all now acknowledge has outlived its public health justification. Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah? Have you seen these people? They're dirty.
The Democrat mayor in New York City just told me to mask up again. Title 42.
Yeah, but that's because he hates your fucking face.
It works. We should keep it. They're actively fighting it. That's crazy. And what about the...
By the way, if you want... Here's a good idea. If you want something like, quote unquote, remain in Mexico, a Title 42 specific to regular immigration policy as a normal aspect of the southern border, then talk to your representative and get them to introduce it into comprehensive immigration reform and try to get it fucking passed. Because otherwise, I don't want to hear shit about you complaining about COVID measures when that's what you're using to patch a hole in the border that you think exists, which, by the way, is, again, artificially increasing the number of crossings at the southern border.
The messaging, us, truth tellers, talking about the border situation realistically?
No, you're not, because you don't mention recidivism at all because it eats into your fucking narrative and you're a dumbass.
Somehow we're at fault. Take a look at...
No, I don't. And by the way, she means serious people that are actually heard, not people who lost their time slot to Greta Van Susteren.
This Martha Raddatz sat down with Governor Greg Abbott of Texas and...
Oh, yeah. How's Operation Lone Star working?
Look at her character. Listen to her characterization of what's happening right now.
You talk about the border wall. You talk about open borders. I don't think I've ever heard President Biden say, we have an open border, come on over. But people I have heard say it are you.
Yep.
Our former President Trump or Ron DeSantis. That message reverberates in Mexico and beyond.
It's pretty
right. Exactly. And fucking yes. Like, how long did I say that? For a fucking year. I think I was singularly only person tweeting that particular message. And now it's finally being used to push back on this horse shit. I'm going to take it as a win, just like MAGAt's trending.
pretty wild. She's saying that we should deny there's a problem.
No. You can talk about the fact that you think there are a lot of people coming to the border and we got to figure out how we're going to process them and all that kind of stuff. That is wholly different than saying the border is wide open and Biden's letting anybody through. That kind of language. That's specifically what she's fucking talking about. And it's specifically what this prick does and what Greg Abbott does.
You can't talk about it. This is...
No, you just have to use big boy words, dipshit.
Wannabe disinformation and misinformation, which the mainstream engages in all the time. And oh, by the way, you want to...
Well, by the way, I appreciate you acknowledging that you're not mainstream media, even though you buy the graphics package.
See an example of Joe Biden actually saying, yes, please, come, rush the border. Don't worry about it. Come on in. He did. It was his campaign promise that he's actually made good on.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are.
Oh, by the way, surge, he means, he's talking about, and that's why they cut off the top of the question. They want lawyers and caseworkers to surge down there to actually process these people.
We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
All right.
For the asylum seekers. But he just wants it. Yeah, okay.
Everybody thinks they're oppressed, and everybody.
No, just you. Just you, Greg. Just you and the other people who have to sit next to you on the bus.
Is coming. Thanks, Joe. This was Democrat messaging that brought on the problem that we have right now. It's not our.
No, I blame the wall. For some reason, when Biden was vice president, we didn't have this fucking problem.
Fault. Think about it. They have dismantled the border. They are aggressively moving to dismantle it even further. And
how? That's a big statement. How? How are they aggressively moving to dismantle the border? Oh, thanks, Sarah. How? Did they pull all the federal border patrol off? Did they surge bulldozers to the fucking border to knock down the wall? Did they like move all the people out of the fucking drive-through parts of the ports? How is there name a single thing the Biden administration has done to, quote, dismantle the border?
And they're blaming the truth tellers.
You're not a truth teller. You're ringing a dinner bell. You have dumb words, and you can't speak without hyperbole.
With all that happening, what's the next crisis? What do they really want to talk about? Take a look.
Yesterday
Oh, I see. So they're trying to distract you.
was a criminal referral for insurrection.
Trump's taxes are a distraction for Biden's border. Or Trump could have released him when he said he was going to release him, and they wouldn't have had this ammo, I guess. This is Trump's fuck up. Again, lifelong fuck up.
Today, it could be his taxes.
Right now, another House committee is meeting behind closed doors, digging into the tax returns that Donald Trump spent years desperately trying to keep out of public view.
The decision facing the Ways and Means Committee today has been years in the making, and
Wait a minute, the Ways and Means Committee doesn't handle border security?
it couldn't come at a worse time for Trump.
They've been saying that for a long time, right? Oh, boy.
Well, it's true. I mean, I think every time we think it's the worst time for Trump, it gets worse. But that's just the nature of what a fuck up he is.
He's really had it now. They're always wrong, and they'll be wrong on this tax issue as well.
Yeah, you've seen them. You know what's in them. Sunshine, rainbows, happiness, and lollipops.
By the way, it's unconstitutional, in my opinion. This is...
In your opinion. Okay, great. As a constitutional professor.
This is something the media should be fighting. There is no constitutional requirement for a president to turn over their personal tax returns. Look it up in the Constitution. It's actually...
No. It's definitely a sort of kind of unwritten law policy that other presidents have done. It's just kind of fucking hinky that Trump himself never did it because it eats into the myth that he's a fucking billionaire, which was his entire sales pitch. Now, a lot is made, for the record, by the Republicans about the idea that if the Hunter Biden laptop story had been allowed to be seen by everyone, 17% of Biden voters would have voted otherwise. They would have voted for Donald Trump or not at all, which, for the record, is horseshit. It's nonsense. It's goofy. It's ridiculous. But if you want to take that argument about had people known, they would have been, they would have voted differently. How many Trump primary voters would have supported him for president in 2016 if they knew he was bullshitting about being a billionaire and that he was basically living off his father's company and milking its assets to death? And that everything since his dad died was just been a branding exercise like low-res Kardashian bullshit. How many do you think? I mean, do you think the MAGAts would have shown up at all those rallies and ginned up all this support if they knew he was lying and cheating on his taxes and pretending his buildings were worth more than they were worth to the banks and less than they were worth to the fucking government? I'm sure some would have hung on. They would have gone, look at this guy. Smart guy, cheats on his taxes. Good man. But a bunch of them, the ones that made a difference in the fucking primary, if his taxes had come out, what do you think the shave would have been on points when he was facing off against Hillary? You think it would have been 75,000 votes in 3 states? I don't fucking think so. Again, it'd been a lot bigger than that. And look, we're at a level 5 hype train. Hype train! Thank you guys on Twitch. I'm just saying, do you think the voters have a right to know? You thought they had the right to know about Biden's kid's fake laptop, but somehow the voters don't have the right to know Trump's taxes, even though he said he would share them. He said he was going to share them as soon as the audit was over. Well, we now know there was no audit. So he was lying the whole time. What about that piece of information? What would have been the point shave on that in 2016? If it had come out, if the IRS, somebody had come out like, Comey'd him and said, we're not auditing him. He got a $75 million tax refund. Turns out he didn't deserve. We just asked for it back. We're not auditing. We know he lied. He knows he lied. They're just fighting it. This isn't 2 years of audits. This is a 2-year fucking delay.
Actually, not many things you have to be legally. You can't find it in the Constitution that you have to turn over your tax returns. And when he ultimately does, if this is actually going to work out that way.
If he ultimately does, if he said he was going to. As soon as the audit was done. Now we know there was no audit. Fuck you. End of story. Stop covering for him. You little asshole.
They may be disappointed, the Democrats.
Thank you, Mark.
Because every now and then, the mainstream, they do get a glimpse at Donald Trump's tax returns, like Rachel Maddow did a couple of years ago on live television. She was reading it for the first time and rather disappointed by what she found.
Yeah, because it was incomplete. Turned out to be bullshit.
What I have here is a copy of Donald Trump's tax returns. We have his federal tax return for 1 year for 2005.
And just his 1040. The businesses were what we find now, and that's where all the chicanery happens.
I believe this is the only set of the president's federal taxes that reporters have ever gotten a hold of. What we have are these 2 pages, front and back. And in terms of what's on here, let me give you the basics. Aside from the numbers being large, these pages are straightforward. He paid $38 million, looks like $38 million in taxes. He took a big write-down of $103 million. More on that later.
Yeah, hence the $70 million that he did not deserve. This is what led to, by the way, that refund that he didn't deserve to get.
If you add up the lines for income, he made more than $150 million in that year. Mazel tov.
So a billionaire is rich and getting richer.
No, actually, since then, we now know by looking at his taxes, he got poorer after that. A lot poorer. As a matter of fact, if he paid $38 million when it was riding high on the fucking Apprentice and selling books and doing other shit, he was, I guess, technically doing all right. Well, in 2015 and 2014, $715 in taxes, $0 in taxes. He was effectively broke. He was even his merch was losing money.
And that's what they're going to find out all over again while our country is falling apart.
Is it falling apart? Well, I mean, you are. I mean, I haven't been to the Newsmax studios. It must look like shit. That parking lot must be fucked. Because I had to go buy some groceries and stuff, and there were people shopping and buying groceries, and there was just like a self checkout, and then there was a regular checkout with a person. There was actually 2 lanes open. That's it. That's the whole story.
Why do they want that border wide open? Really?
They don't. They just said so. Fuckhead, you just played a clip where she said the border isn't open, and the only people that are saying so are people who are attracting people like this, who are endangering their lives trying to cross the border.
Why is the Biden administration fighting in court to revoke Title 42? Well,
because it will bring down the number of crossings. There will be a temporary surge, like they said, but the overall numbers will go down because recidivism will collapse. If the Biden administration is able to get rid of Title 42 and it actually goes away, the numbers will start to look like 2017, 2016 again, and then we'll have a normal conversation about what it happens. And by the way, these assholes will be selling the idea that there are caravans coming. That story will come back because that was the only thing that worked when there weren't that number of people sitting on the Mexican side of the border trying multiple times to cross.
There are a couple of reasons. You probably know them by now.
Cheap
They
labor.
want the cheap labor.
Sorry, are we talking about Democrats or Trump? You do know that he employs undocumented workers at Mar-a-Lago, right?
They want the votes.
They can't vote. Asylum seekers can't vote. Non-citizens can't vote. If they ultimately get citizenship, they'll only get it in a fucking decade. It's not going to help in 2024. And the other thing is that Republicans are always clamoring about the fact that they're gaining ground with Latinos because Latinos don't like illegal immigration any more than anybody else. As a matter of fact, they're more against it because they don't like where these folks are coming from and that they come from socialist countries, even though they're fucking escaping it, obviously. So maybe they don't like it, whatever. But the point is that Latinos, because of pro-life issues and other things like that, it's entirely reasonable to think that they'll eventually become Republican voters.
And these folks, when they get to America, I think they're going to be pliable. That's
what? What the fuck? They're going to be pliable, like intellectually soft in the head. Is that what you? This is what you think that these migrants crossing the border are just kind of dim-witted and easy? Just the Democrats are just going to stick a fucking hook in their forehead and drag them around for the rest of their fucking lives?
at least their thinking.
Jesus Christ! Project much?
That they'll
Mr. Plato brain.
want to kind of go with the flow, not call.
What do you mean go with the flow? Motherfucker, a lot of them end up living in Texas. What going with the flow in Texas means acting like a Republican.
Cause too many waves. A controllable population. Those who come here illegally tend to hide, tend to avoid.
Yes, because they're illegal. That's not the case if they become citizens. Once they're visible, they tend to just do whatever the fuck they naturally would do. They might be, weirdly enough, grateful to the party that actually gave a shit and gave them a chance to be a productive American. And so over time, and this is what they're afraid of, might eventually vote with Democrats on stuff because that's the person that didn't leave them in fucking Mexico to be attacked.
And tend to not cause, well, they just don't want to be arrested.
Unlike regular Americans, they just don't want to be arrested. Hi.
You need the code so she can call her.
Huh?
You need the code so she can
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Hold on 1 second. Turn that off. Turn here to here. And then there. And then... There you go. That's it. There you go. Cool. Love you.
Thank you.
Hi. Sorry. Family stuff. Welcome.
As people who come here...
But no, by the way, thumbs up. Anybody? I mean, I'm pushing back on this stuff. And I'm doing a pretty spectacular job of it, by the way. And introducing, I would say, new ideas into the conversation. You're welcome. Glad to be of service. And all I ask is just subscribe and, donate and help. But that's if you can. If you can't, enjoy the show.
Legally through that great big beautiful door and raise the right hand and say,
oh, he's so disgusted.
We support American values. We want to be a part of this. Well, these are the folks that we like in America. Of course we do.
And the assumption is that anybody who crosses the southern border seeking asylum isn't that way. Citation needed, fuckhead.
All right.
Misery.
So with all this going on, guess who's back in the news? Jack Smith.
What do you mean back in the news? This is an ongoing story.
Ring a bell?
Yes. The guy you couldn't figure out why he was wearing the purple robe because he was part of the tribunal going after war criminals, and that's what they wear.
Yikes. It's going to give me bad dreams. This is the...
Dude, you don't have any good dreams.
The special counsel that was appointed a couple of weeks ago to investigate Donald Trump. What do they want on him? Oh, yeah, the documents at Mar-a-Lago and January 6th stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it sounds pretty solid.
Before we get to the news item on him, quick review. His family has given money to Barack Obama.
Oh, dear God. They wanted a black president? Yikes.
His wife is a documentarian.
$1,000. Obviously, this means they had the Bidens on a leash, as you know, beforehand. Look, I want you to know I gave $1,000 to the Obama campaign, and if you want that same $1,000, you better let me go after Donald Trump.
Who does I Love You movies about Michelle Obama. This is the guy, the impartial.
So, yeah, again, I don't see a problem with either.
Guy, and he also wears a purple tunic to work for some reason.
What a dick. Hold on one second. Check. Hold on one second. This is the picture he's using. Who's DOJ special counsel? Okay. Former DOJ prosecutor Jack Smith at the Kosovo Specialist Chambers Court in The Hague, Netherlands. He's wearing the appropriate attire for The Hague, which is why Trump is scared.
This is the guy who's going to be independent and neutral when it comes to investigating Trump. And by the
No. People who adjudicate are independent and neutral. Investigators oftentimes are aware of the criminality of the person they're going after and are trying to gather evidence to support that idea. Because we're long past the part where people are like, I don't know, did he give a speech at the Ellipse?
By the way, he was appointed in November. Where the hell is he?
Working?
We've heard a lot of Jack Smith, but we haven't seen much of him. He has been...
Yeah, he's not a spokesperson, fucko. He's doing a job he just got.
In Europe, he's been recovering from a bike accident. My colleague Paula Reed is told, though, that he will be returning.
Okay, so he had a bike accident in Europe, and he's getting better. Oh, so somebody tried to murder him, so he couldn't he didn't bicycle past a Russian dude who sprayed him in the face with anything, did he?
To the U.S. in early January. Part of what he wants to do is he wants to set up an office outside of the Justice Department, get these prosecutorial teams.
Jeez, everybody wear those fucking purple tunics? Gee whiz, Greg.
Teams under one roof.
It's almost like everybody there wears that. By the way, Greg, you're playing this clip, fucko. Why don't you point out that everybody's wearing the same tunic, dickhead?
What an independent move. He's going to set up his office outside the Justice Department, maybe across the street at the...
He can't. I think Navarro's house is there.
FBI, huh? How independent... You think real estate has anything to do with this?
Well, yeah, it'd be helpful. What the fuck? Where's he supposed to do it from? Fucking Florida?
By the way, quick reminder, the FBI, we got to move it. It's got to be renamed, restaffed, and moved.
No, we don't.
Moved out of Washington, D.C.
Why? It's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Washington is the capital of the country. They have field offices. Fuck is wrong with you?
See, right now, they've got a complex that's bigger than the White House.
Yes, because they have enormous staff, stupid.
Right in the middle of Congress and the White House on Pennsylvania.
What do you mean right in the middle? What do you think people like who serve at the White House or at the Capitol drive by with trepidation thinking that, oh shit, careful, the FBI is watching out the window? What kind of paranoid horseshit is this?
Pennsylvania Avenue, they think they're their own branch of government.
They are. They're part of the DOJ.
And that's dangerous. It's actually a holdover, I believe, from J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, God. What, that belief?
Who seems his legacy is alive and well at...
Why? Because of the dude Trump put in charge? By the way, Greg Kelly couldn't be happier that Comey came out and talked shit about Hillary right before the election and gave the presidency to Trump. And then when Trump fired him, he was like, Trump's the king, man. He can fucking fire anybody he wants. And then whoever he puts in, he knows the best people. Anybody, they're the best people. And then Christopher Wray's a plant.
At the Bureau. J. Edgar Hoover, of course, abused his power, was an unethical man.
Right. So you're saying he and Trump would have gotten along.
Cut corners, big and small, to achieve more power for himself and the Bureau. How little has changed. Jim Comey. Wow. You know, I actually went through his book recently.
You went through his book. You know, because Greg can't actually say, I read something on the... I mean, nobody's going to believe that shit. I went through his book. I looked at some of the pictures.
He deliberately tried to sabotage the Trump administration.
There is only a Trump administration because of James Comey, dum-dum.
And for now, it looks like he...
Same thing with Mitch McConnell. They hate Comey, they hate McConnell, and the only wins that Trump ever got that have any legs are shit that McConnell gave him, including the fucking tax cut, and that Comey delivered the presidency to him.
He almost got away with it, although Donald Trump was able to accomplish some amazing things.
Was he? Such as?
Listen to this.
I was worried very much about being in kind of a J. Edgar Hoover type situation. I didn't want him thinking that I was briefing him on this to sort of hang it over him in some way.
Yeah, he meant he didn't want to be perceived as J. Edgar Hoover. But he had to tell him that this interference information was coming. And that was the problem because Trump is a paranoid asshole.
Yeah, the dossier. I actually read his book, a portion of it today.
A portion? Oh, man. At least he's relatively honest.
Comey. He relished the opportunity. Oh, boy. The FBI director, isn't he supposed to talk to the incoming president?
Yes, he did.
He didn't, until he had that salacious, phony dossier to tell him about. That's when he made the appointment. That and all that stuff about Russia interference, which was exaggerated and hyped beyond belief.
No, it's not beyond belief at all. It's actually quite believable.
All in an effort to sabotage an attempted sabotage of the administration.
To sabotage an attempted sabotage? That's a double sabotage. That means he was trying to help? Yeah, that works out.
This is not a by-the-book guy. He actually admits it at times.
In his book that you perused?
He likes to get away with things.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine two FBI agents ending up in the same room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. In both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
Just send a couple of guys.
Yeah, just a couple of guys. Nice government you got here. It'd be a shame if we had to break it.
Corners, maybe you can get away with it.
Well, and also, by the way, it never got better. It didn't matter that it was early. Fucking Sidney Powell and Mike Pillow were able to just saunter into the fucking Oval. The sycophants around Trump would, like, anytime somebody from the Justice Department or something that wanted to come in and talk to them, they were like, ooh, this is government-y stuff. They should, oh yeah, go ahead. And any dumbass that Trump wanted to yammer with, from Kanye West to fucking Ted Nugent to Mike Pillow, they could just waltz right in too. There was no system in place because Trump never he never had to answer to anybody. He was a second-generation rich kid who ran his dad's business. There were no stakeholders or shareholders, and he doesn't give a rat fuck that there'll be anything left for the company to give to his goddamn kids. You think he cares? Shit, he can't imagine a world without him.
And maybe you did. I don't think so. This sending the FBI to shake things up, to intimidate, to possibly coerce an
yeah, that's what it looked like.
Organization into doing something.
Yes, is that a wall mirror? What a shitty way to get a shot. Is that what you think the front of the fucking White House looks like? By the way, who's growing all that weed on the porch of the White House during the Trump administration?
Subtly, that's a trick of the trade. It goes way back to J. Edgar Hoover.
Trick of the trade?
You know, they pulled it on 2 Republican senators, Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley. They were making real progress in their Hunter Biden probe.
Really? Because I've seen I perused the 1,000-page report, which is basically just him, all the shit he's filed over the last couple of years that I've seen, as he's posted it. So they just put it into one giant document, which goes fucking nowhere.
They sent the FBI in to discredit that probe.
No, to warn them that they were taking the bait. If they hadn't, it would have been a violation of their oath of office to protect the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
The FBI showed up to brief these 2 gentlemen on Russia.
Oh my God! Did they shirt collar brief them? Listen here, man. You're gonna listen to me, eh? And I'm gonna tell you the truth about what's in this dossier, and you're gonna believe. And if I have to shove it down, sorry.
Disinformation.
I can't stand like that. It makes me cough.
It is now understood that that was an attempt to discredit the entire probe.
No, it was to let them know that the probe was horseshit.
If the FBI briefs them on such a matter, well, that means it must be happening, and that means it's leakable, and that means it's printable, which it is. The Washington Post wrote it, and they tried to discredit the entire probe.
Oh my God, the entire probe.
Hunter Biden that the senators were carrying out.
Yes, that went nowhere, and ultimately the Republican senatorial committee that was looking into this shit said we didn't find anything that involves Biden and his son in business together.
But what is Trump saying about all this, you know?
Nobody cares.
No, we don't hear from him as much.
You don't hear from him as much? Are you just ignoring him?
I think we will more after the holidays.
Yeah, he's probably taking some time off to, I don't know, do an infomercial, maybe be the new Slap Chop spokesperson.
He's not on Twitter. I hope he goes back, but he is on True Social, and he has a lot to say about what we're learning about Twitter and the FBI. We've been covering it here on Newsmax. The FBI and the Twitter are kind of in bed together.
Nope. Wait, that's it? The FBI and Twitter are in bed together. Cut.
The FBI and the Twitter are kind of in bed together.
That's it. That's their idea of a clip. Do they just... It's like the editors at Newsmax who have to put these clips online just stop giving a fuck. And they're like, nah, never mind. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Thank you so much. Good to see you.